Artificial intelligence is ushering in a new era for the automotive retail industry, transforming the way dealerships engage with customers and drive business success. Through machine learning, predictive analytics, and natural language processing, AI is already empowering forward thinking leaders to deliver hyper personalized recommendations, streamlined purchasing processes, and improved customer experiences. At the same time, this cutting edge technology is reshaping the landscape, fostering innovation, and propelling the industry towards an even more personalized future. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Analytics Insight podcast, where we talk about the ever evolving tech space. And I'm your host, Priya Dayalani. AI in automotive is not confined to autonomous driving. It influences manufacturing automation, predictive maintenance, quality inspection, logistics, fraud detection, dynamic prices, and the list is never ending. So, organizations that integrate AI into core operations are building competitive advantages that compound over time. Let's welcome Sandeep Jain, Managing Director, CDK India, to talk how AI, unified data, and platform modernization are reshaping automotive retail. Hi, Sandeep. Welcome to our podcast. How are you doing?
Hi, Priya. First of all, thanks for this opportunity. I'm doing great, very excited.
Likewise, Sandeep. And I think when we talk about automotive, we have witnessed I think I would say fascinating and amazing transformations in this space. And I think automotive has always been at the forefront of, adopting and leveraging these technologies and providing always some new experiences to customers. But today, of course, we are going to focus on the retail aspect of the industry. So without, wasting any time further, let's just get started and we can start by telling our listeners about CDK India, its specialization, and alongside that, a little bit about you, Sandeep, and your role at the company today.
Absolutely. So let me start first, like what CDK is all about. CDK Global, like it's a automotive software product based company. We build software for our customers, primarily ISVs, which is independent software vendors, dealerships, and OEMs. Pretty much anything you can think of in software, you'll find that we have the product from sales to CRM to service. And if I want to talk about, probably I'll take like, an hour just to name all the products. So I'll not get into that. But it's a pretty old company, more than 50 years of legacy. I've been there primarily, like, we are operating in North America. And if I talk about CDK India, we started more than 20 years ago. It was ADP, and at some point it spun off as CDK. That was like 2014. And today, like, we are close to 2,500 people, including contractors. So that's a CDK in India. Primarily, we are product and development, like product and tech company. So we have almost 60 to 70% is product and tech. We have enterprise IT, security, a customer org, and bunch of other functions what we manage here. Of course, we have standard enabling functions. And one thing I would say, and we take a lot of pride that we are true GCC, and I'm being part of a lot of global capability center, design and playbook and all. And I can tell you, like, pretty much we are there in terms of truly calling this as a GCC. So we are not just execution center, but we do so much beyond. Just to talk quickly about myself, I've been with CDK for close to 11 years, and the everything what I'm talking about is like, I'm responsible, of course, managing India operations, audit, compliance, and end-to-end aspects with respect to India is what I take care. But not just confined to the just the operations, but I'm an engineer all through my life, so I take care of the other dimension too, and I'm heavily involved in product and tech and the software what we built for CDK. So that's a very high level about me.
Thank you, Sandeep, for that fantastic overview and also sharing about your journey till date. And I think the way you have aligned your capabilities with the evolving industry, it clearly reflects a forward-thinking approach. And I'm really glad to know about CDK India and global, and how it is navigating a rapidly changing landscape while still maintaining a strong sense of purpose and innovation. Great. With that foundation set in place, let's talk about automotive digital retail industry. So I think the industry is, not struggling with a lack of technology. It is struggling with disconnected technology. Now, across OEMs, dealer groups, individual dealerships, data silos between the CRM, inventory, platforms have quietly become one of the expensive barriers to modern retailing. The impact is tangible. Either it's inaccurate pricing, outdated inventory, delayed lead delivery, and excessive manual data entry directly contribute to lost revenue opportunities and operational inefficiencies across the retail ecosystem. So, why do you think the shift is necessary for the automotive retail to shift from the siloed software to more connected platforms?
Oh, that's kind of very interesting question. Primarily, I would say our biggest customer base is dealership, and they don't like and they can't afford to have disconnected systems. To be honest, as a dealer, when they're using our products and if systems are disconnected, there's so much of manual work they have to do. There's a lot of duplication of data, and not just the extra work for them, but for customers, it's kind of a very complicated, right? Everything they have to provide, the details again and again. And maybe I'll give you a few examples that'll exactly tell you why I'm talking about it. Like, for example, you buy a car from dealership and you want to register your car, then you don't want to enter all the information once again, and there are chances of human errors. So instead of that, what if you have some unique ID, you get the details, everything around you, and you can just see them rather than completing the entire details in 10, 20 minutes. You can do it in just fewer seconds. And I'm not talking about connection within systems, within, for instance, CDK ecosystem, but even externally. Like, for instance, you bought a car from somebody else and now you want to register via CDK platform. All you have, what CD can do is, it establish connection with the other systems and other platforms and get all the details and register your car upfront. So there are many, many examples of a connected platform like what CDK Global enables, bringing in your sales, service, CRM, and operations into one seamless flow. This gives dealer a single view of customer, enabling more personalized and faster interactions. It also improve efficiency by reducing what I said, like manual work and duplication across system. With real-time insights, dealers can make smarter decisions and respond quickly to market changes. Ultimately, connected platform help dealerships operate as one integrated business. And this point solutions, what we talk about, that was the era. Maybe I would talk about 20 years back, and from there on, we are improving constantly just to ensure that everything is seamlessly connected. Like, you talk about report, and you don't get the data of all these reports just from one system. All these systems have to talk. Maybe I'll give you one interesting example, which I got an opportunity to work extensively on that product, and that pretty much talks about exactly what you're asking. Let's say you want to sell car online. Now, to sell the car online, it's not just about the car price. In the US, the way it works is not, you don't really have MRP of a car. There are a lot of other segments, a lot of other dimensions which you need to consider, because it may differ for every individual. For example, I need your details to run your credit to find out what credit score look like. Or I have to connect with inventory system to see that whether that car is available with me. You need to look at your incentive, like whether you're eligible for incentive. Or if you want to trade in, then I need to connect with my trading system and look at what is the approx pricing. Then I need to connect with my forms and digital contracting, and there are tons of systems. So without that, this entire piece becomes so complicated that you can't. Today it's not like, I won't say it's a want, it's a need. Without that, you can't really run the system end to end. And that is where this whole industry is, moving completely from siloed software to connected platform. And I'm talking about within system, but when you're running a car, your smart car, which gives you lot of predictive maintenance, and when your service is due and where you should be going. That is also important dimension. I can go on and on with a lot of example, but even a simple thing like you go on a website and write that I want to buy, let's say, Mercedes, to like OEM, and immediately you get a call from dealers that, are you interested? Like, how do you convert that lead into a sale? So dealer would actually call you. So we are connecting this whole ecosystem of your OEMs and dealers and consumers, and I think this is what is the need today.
That's a great perspective, Sandeep, and it really highlights why and how the industry is moving beyond fragmented operations to something far more integrated and intelligent. I think connected platforms are enabling dealerships and OEMs to unify their data, streamline operations, and most importantly, deliver a seamless and a personalized customer experience, which is pretty much highlighted by some of the examples that you mentioned. Because I think at the end of the day, today's customers expect the same level of convenience and consistency in the automotive space, which they get from other digital first industries.
Absolutely. In fact, I can tell you, like, maybe this example just came to my mind when I bought my car, Mercedes. I was actually impressed the very next day when I reached home. I got a message that your free service will happen in 3 months, and this is the timeline, and this is the date. Like, that's a wonderful thing because generally you presume you buy a car at least 1 year, you don't have to worry about it. And they never told me initially that it is going to be free, which is wonderful. So
Hmm.
that was super helpful.
Definitely, definitely, Sandeep. And I think even I have witnessed the same experience, where you get timely alerts about certain aspects that are related to your vehicle, and that which earlier was difficult to, keep a track of. But I think with today's involvement and integration of different tech platforms, it's quite becoming easier for both ends, I believe.
Absolutely.
Great. Now, let's imagine that a neurosurgeon who faces a complex, high-risk brain surgery. Despite years of experience, the case presents unpredictable variables. Instead of relying solely on intuition, she turns to an AI-powered surgical assistant, which analyzes millions of similar cases in seconds, predicting complications and then suggesting the most precise approach. As she operates, her expertise guides the procedure while the AI continuously adjusts recommendations in real time based on the patient's vital. So the AI extended the human's capabilities without replacing her judgment. That is what hybrid intelligence is in action, where natural and AI working together, amplifying strengths, compensating for weaknesses, and achieving what neither could alone. So, what does this hybrid intelligence, combining humans and technology, look like in the real world? And if you could give certain examples specific to the automotive retail, it would be great.
Absolutely. There's such an interesting question, like, but I'll stick to just automotive. So,
Yeah.
in automotive retail, hybrid intelligence is human plus technology working together, not replacing each other. Like almost all sessions I always talk about it is man with a machine, not man versus machine. So human judgment and intelligence is going to be very, very important. Like, if the example what you gave, and if you want to go for surgery, you would not prefer to go and rely 100% on AI because there may be some challenges. So that human touch is very, very important. And maybe I'll give you one example that gives you crux in terms of what is it I want to say here. Like, for instance, in at CDK, like, we use extensively AI for a lot of things. And let's say at the start of the journey, AI analyzes your customer data. It may recommend the best car you want to buy, the pricing, offer, all details. But doesn't mean by looking at that you just want to go and buy it. Then you actually connect with sales advisor. That is where the judgment is being used, and then you build trust. The sales advisor will handle the emotion and closes the deal. Further, after buying the car, now your system predicts service needs, like you get a maintenance alerts and there are upsell opportunity, then service advisor will explain and convinces the customer and personalize the experience. So it's always man with a machine. That's how we go. Technology tells you what to do, but humans decide how to do it best. So that always go hand in hand. In fact, the classic example I'll give you is when we were in a COVID era, the whole world was saying that everything is going to be digital and we'll sell car online. I mean, we got a product wherein we can sell car online end to end, but still, like, when you want to buy a car, you want to experience, right? You want to go. Of course, there are a lot of intelligence system. They'll tell you the pricing, it'll tell you the offer, it'll connect with all the systems. So you have almost 90-95% of details which you expect. You go and you sit with the dealership and find out. So you're already ready. And then you actually go. That is where the human touch, empathy, trust, everything comes to fore, and you buy the car. So it is always man with a machine. And that's what the hybrid intelligence is all about. And that's what I think, we look at.
Definitely, Sandeep. And it's eventually that, it's not about replacing human judgment, but amplifying it. And, when there's technology which can handle the scale, data complexity, humans, on the other hand, can, focus more on the context, creativity, and critical decision making. And I think, it's no longer just about technical expertise or human instinct in isolation, but it's more about the ability to work seamlessly with such intelligent systems. And that's where I think the future workforce is headed.
Absolutely.
Great. So I think, the automotive industry overall in this fast-paced digital era is witnessing a paradigm shift in how businesses operate and engage with customers. We have chatbots, task automation, predictive analytics, and it has transformed how dealerships operate on a daily basis. Now, I think one of the most significant use case of AI in dealership is the use of chatbots. But how do you think that AI is much more capable in terms of improving dealership performance just beyond, chatbots?
I think this is a kind of very, very interesting question. And I think to me, and it's my personal opinion, that chatbot does help, but it is probably not even 10%. There's so much is happening in this industry. So just to give you a little context, like CDK, we call the whole AI thing, what we do is AI in and AI out, two terminologies we use. And the reason I'm using even AI in, which is more of internal working, is very, very critical to get the maximum value. It's all about how do you leverage tool and increase productivity and quality and move faster on the modernization and everything you do with respect to giving more value. And that's very, very important for customer, because at the end of the day, customer needs a high quality product, or the speed matters. So that's a one aspect. That's not really chatbot. But the other dimension, what you talked about, is AI out, which is all about how do we leverage different AI capabilities within our system so that we give maximum value. And I'll give you a few examples. Like for instance, like you want to know out of 10,000 leads you have, what are the leads would actually translate to actual customer, actual sale, which is like propensity to buy. That is what we have in our product, which can actually tell you that with a pretty decent accuracy that these are the leads will actually get converted into the real sale. Not just limited to that, there was another product. If you look on the internet, it is called RAP, which is Warranty Recovery Advancement Program. So we realize that like a lot of our customers, which are dealers, they're losing revenue because the all the warranty claims are not filed on time, or it's not done on time. So we use extensively AI to speed up that process and ensures that the lost revenue is not really lost revenue, but it is actually realized. So one of the thing what we do is we don't go and use all AI features randomly, but I think we use AI to solve a customer problem. Like we look at what challenges they have and how do we ensure. So almost every product there are some or other AI functions, but that is more of solving customer issues. Like the prediction you talk about it, it's very, very important dimension to know that, like not just the date by when you should be doing servicing, but your engine might have an issue after this time, or because of this signal, everything is connected, that this is how you need to work through. So there are a bunch of dimension around AI which we use within our product, and I can go on and on. There are so many things we use in our different products, and which customers are liking it, because not we are doing something to look cool, but we are just organizing more and more around value. And it's not just limited to chatbots, but there's so much we are doing it.
Thank you, Sandeep, for that overview. And I think AI is quietly, moving from being just a support tool to becoming a strategic driver for dealerships. And of course, what you highlighted definitely goes far beyond just the usual chatbot narrative. Dealerships are now able to personalize customer journeys, empower smarter price decisions in real time, and so much more. So it's almost like, they are evolving into data-driven ecosystems rather than just sales touch points.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And it's not just limited to fewer things, as you said, right? I'm just thinking of a lot of reporting aspects and bunch of things what we do, wherein we use this intelligent system to get them what exactly they want.
Yeah. Definitely. And with that being said, Sandeep, I think organizations are rapidly moving towards more robust platforms like cloud-based platforms to ensure scalability and cost efficiency across digital-first operations. And many companies are prioritizing integration with the latest tools while recognizing the core security and compliance requirements. Now, despite these trends and expanding digital footprints, enterprise leaders continue to grapple with key questions about business impact and execution. For instance, will modernization cause disruption and downtime? Will newly integrated systems perform or break existing ones? Or will AI-led transformation deliver measurable business outcomes? So, how do you think organizations can modernize their enterprise technology without disrupting core operations?
So first of all, I think organizations can't rip and replace core systems without a risk. So whenever you're doing modernization, one of the key principle I would say is it has to be incremental and business safe. That there is always a risk, because when you want to modernize a bigger system, then you are focusing a lot on a newer system which is not ready, and you're not focusing so much on legacy. Then customer can't move to modernize because it's not ready, and legacy they can't stuck, because not everything what they have, what they want is actually they're getting. So the idea is, there are different approaches. Again, one size doesn't fit all, but you know I would recommend some of the ways. For instance, we can go with a segmentation approach, wherein we look at certain set of customers and certain features. If we do it, they can literally move onto new system, and then we can go incrementally. In that way, you're not disrupting the ecosystem, which is kind of complicated with managing the data at multiple places and just ensuring that they get what they want. The another approach, which is my favorite, and again, it doesn't fit into all this instances, but UI first approach, because one of the biggest challenges is the adoption when it comes to modernization. Even if you do, customer don't want to adopt many times. So if you can just replace the UI first, create a heavily rely on microservices and all, but there'll be more of a fake microservices which will connect to legacy in a backend, so that customer have a great look and feel, little bit of improvement on performance, and they get some advantage around that. And slowly behind the scene, you can keep updating the system so that they get modernized. The another approach, which is kind of a very interesting, and a lot of companies wherein they have really bigger products they are adopting, is kind of a layered app approach, wherein let's say one monolith you have, which is a big product and doing 100 different things, then you can pick certain function out of it and build it independent product. The advantage what you have is you can sell that product independently, and on top of it, your the scope of modernization is reduced. But in short summary, I would say, I think you always have to keep in mind it has to be incremental and business safe. That is most important aspect when you are modernizing your systems without disrupting your core operations.
Definitely, Sandeep. And I think while we're talking about modernizing enterprise technology, it is no longer just about, adopting the latest tools. It's about doing it in a way that doesn't interrupt the systems and, keep the business running. And as you pointed out, it requires a far more strategic and a phased approach rather than a complete overhaul. And I think leaders need to understand that it's less about replacement and more about integration, building around the existing systems, making them smarter or agile and future ready without operational friction. And I think for a lot of leaders that are listening in, I think the key takeaway here is that modernization doesn't have to be disruptive if it's done right. It can actually become a growth enabler rather than just a risk factor.
I agree. Yes, absolutely.
Great. So, having discussed about automotive retail industry, what are certain things we need to keep in mind, its applications, how do you think or what does the future of automotive retail look like in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, that's kind of very interesting. And there are different dimensions. People are talking about that everything will become EV and all. But at least at a high level, just next 5 and 10 years, if you ask me, everything is going to be connected. So the idea of digital first, wherein majority of things are happening online with connecting all the systems, but it'll be more of experience led and service driven. Like, for instance, even if you look at the future, people will not be buying so many cars to me. It'll be more of a lease, and that the whole subscription based model is what they would go with. So at a high level, if I say, it's like automotive retail is shifting from a transaction driven model to a connected life cycle driven ecosystem. Platform like CDK Global will play a very critical role by integrating your dealers and OEMs and customers into one seamless flow. The revenue will expand beyond car sales, and as I said, it will be more of subscriptions and service, and digital add-ons will be added. The word which in the automotive industry I'm hearing a lot is called phygital, which is more of a blending online convenience with in-store experience. So it is again, as I said earlier, it's not it's more of a man with a machine, right? So you will use a lot of intelligent system, everything, even your cars will become a smart car, the way you have a smartphone, wherein you can look at everything, all the prediction and alerts and what is to be done. But the experience, human side of experience, will not go away. That is really really important. So in short, in the future, it's connected, data driven, and in a continuous, not one time sale, is what I would say, at least in the next 5 to 10 years.
A pretty crisp answer, Sandeep. And I think the future of automotive retail isn't about just adding more tools to the stack. It's about making the tools you already use work together. When inventory, pricing, and credit don't line up, the store pays the price in lost deals, redesks, and frustrated customers. And at today's volumes, accuracy and real-time execution aren't just nice to have, they are required to protect gross and keep the floor moving. Thank you so much, Sandeep, for taking out the time and effort to be on a podcast today and helping us understand that adapting to the emerging automotive retail trends is should be a strategic priority for OEM and dealership leaders because the shifts in consumer behavior, distribution models, and increased competition across global are redefining what a high-performing dealer network looks like. Thank you so much, Sandeep, for your insights. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thanks, Priya. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. So, this is for our listeners. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion around automotive retail, why it's important to build a resilient and a data-driven dealer network to adapt to the changing market conditions and deliver a seamless and a personalized customer experience across every touch point. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes, and you can view all our previous episodes on Spotify and other leading platforms. Thank you so much.